Big 70 today, Mom.
Oh, yeah,
Big
that's right. I wrote
episode
that down.
70. You know, I hot topic I want to start with today. You ready?
Yeah.
I don't have the article, but how many gag orders is a judge allowed to do? Because have you seen how many like he gag ordered the whole Trump family? He gag ordered everyone in this thing. I was like, how many gag orders can you do?
It's not just him. 2 judges are doing it now.
It really?
The woman and the man in New York. The woman in Florida. And no, not Florida. I'm sorry, D.C. And the one in New York.
That sounds like almost, like I understand what the point of a gag order is, but that almost seems like an abuse of power.
Well, the appeals court already put a temporary ban or stop to it.
Okay,
they can't do it right.
Like it doesn't even make sense how like I understand a gag order, but he gag ordered like him, the entire family, all of the lawyers on it. Like it's insane. It's like we don't want any information out, which is kind of weird to say when it's a president that we're talking about.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do that with any citizen. It's not just they have a right to defend themselves, and if they see that something bad, they have a right to speak out. Say this judge is being fair. So to me, it just makes it look like like you wouldn't gag order an entire family and everyone involved if they were losing the court case. You know? Yeah, I don't know where these things. I mean, these things are all going to wind up at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Colossal waste of time and money, and they've already been decided by the Supreme Court. So, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah.
And we already see that the D.C. one, who was it? Georgia. The Georgia one. I don't get my cases right.
So many right now.
Total joke. She did 7 felony charges against these 18 people, and she's already backing out of them because she can't support them. So she's giving them these sweetheart deals if they will turn. Everyone says, they're turning on Trump. They're all turning on Trump. No, they just have to agree to testify on behalf of the prosecution. Doesn't mean they're turning on him. They may say exactly what they've been saying all along, but she couldn't get them on the felony charges, and they're all pleading down.
Yeah, it's just weird to see. I'm more obsessed with the gag order mentality of just like no talking about it whatsoever. Like we've never seen that in a court case before where it was like that damaging.
Well,
where no one's allowed to say anything.
They've done it, but it depends. Gag orders serve a purpose.
Yeah, I get that there's a point to them, but
this is just like a punishment.
It's kind of like
to the defendant.
It's kind of like executive orders, right? There's a purpose for them, but when you do 1,000 of them, it kind of loses its meaning.
Well, yeah, and if you can override it, what's the point?
Exactly, but
I just noticed your pug Halloween.
Yeah, I put it up there. It was a good call. Where's my Google Chrome? What do we have? What do we want to start with today? You had a couple.
I had a lot of mine aren't long ones. I just felt that a couple of them were videos that I thought were kind of interesting to show in light of what's going on. But I had one feel good one because remember we're always complaining that it's
you had one that was like
depressing,
really bad. I was like, damn, that's super depressing. Well, let me just see.
The car crash one.
Yeah, the car crash one. I was like, there.
You got to play that car crash. People have to see that one.
So do we start with that one? Like, here's the question to you guys at home. Do you want to start sad? Do you want to start doom and gloom and work your way up?
Let's do the sad for it. Well, this isn't just, it's terrible because the person in the car, her passenger died. Yeah. So she does this, crash the car. You got to see it. She's in a Porsche.
Now, happy news. Hopefully you guys noticed we got a brand new TV.
Oh, yeah, let's throw that into the mix.
As you can see.
Okay.
New TV. I'd like to thank my main sponsor, my dad.
Yeah.
Who paid for it. Thank you, Dad.
Papa Bear.
Thanks, Dad, for paying for it.
Passenger.
He just wanted a new TV.
27-year-old Yabeo Liu died in the crash, which is terribly sad. Ting Yi, she's 26. $2 million bail, fled the country to China, but I just couldn't get over the video of the Porsche.
So, 27-year-old with a Porsche, doing pretty well.
26. She's 26, the driver. She killed the passenger, a 27-year-old, a person your age. Yeah. In did you show that video? I mean, that's all I was more. It's a terrible story, and she just takes off for.
She just heads to China, of all places.
Yeah, she took off for China, so she doesn't have to be prosecuted. How she's not dead is shocking to me. There she starts sliding sideways, and there she goes right off the road.
Wow!
Flips several times and lands somewhere down low. I think it is. Boom.
Jeez,
see that
flips hard too.
Unbelievable.
Cool. Wow.
Okay.
Flipped it. But yeah. Ban guns. They kill people. What about cars? What about idiots in cars?
Well, not just that.
That is wild,
she's gone.
though.
She's never going to pay the price for it. She's gone. She's gone to China. She's now living in a land of 150 billion people. Maybe they'll. Okay, I'm exaggerating that number. But maybe they'll extradite her and bring her back. But who knows if her passengers' family's even here? They may be in China. I don't know. I have no idea. But boy,
that's a wild one. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look that crazy until you realize that the car did the whole thing basically sideways.
Yeah, and you watch the end. The thing flipped several times at high speed.
Oh yeah.
It looks like it was going downward too. Like there's no grass there. I don't know if there's a ravine or what.
All right, we got any less depressing ones?
Okay, got that one out of the way.
Let's start with the death today.
Did I have another depressing one? No, not really.
I don't think so. Nothing.
Not violent.
Besides Mark Zuckerberg's torn ACL. That's really the only other one that we don't have that one. But, I mean, I was really hoping that this year we would get the Zuckerberg-Elon fight. But I guess that's not happening anytime soon, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I'm going to listen to the Elon Musk podcast
with
some
Rogan?
Point driving up, to see. I saw there were clips from it. Like, I don't know if I want to start looking at clips of it. Unless I watch the whole thing.
I think you should watch the one with Tim Kennedy that came out, I think, today or yesterday.
Who's Tim Kennedy?
Former UFC fighter, but he's also one of the baddest Marines on the planet. I think he's a Green Beret. I'm not sure about that. But he talked about what's going on in Israel and Palestine and a bunch of other things, obviously. It's Rogan. But
okay, so let's throw that up. Okay, those are also videos. We can talk about Sam Bankman-Fried. Although I didn't really look at the whole case because I lost interest.
we are so everywhere today.
I know, right?
Hey, guys, this is an 8 o'clock podcast going on to 9.
Well, Sam Bankman-Fried, I stopped paying attention because we pretty much felt he was going to walk anyhow. 115 years possible in jail.
Possible. The dad brought up a good point. Like
he folded like a cheap suit on that.
I didn't watch any of it. What did he do?
Terrible. He was a terrible witness. He's
always been a terrible speaker. I
know, but he caved on every question. He was done. Everybody, all the people, the girlfriend turned on him. I'm not saying much, but everybody turned on him, dumped him totally under the bridge.
Michael Lewis reveals disgrace
under the bridge,
under the bus as he faces family. So yeah, basically he got charged with everything. We thought he was going to get off it's kind of weird, right? Because he had, I don't know what the word is, but he was supposed to, you would think like he was supposed to be in jail like the second this all came out. He had like a good year of being at home. He was able to travel. He lived in a house he was under house arrest in like $10 million mansion or something like that. And then now all this is coming out. Remember, I've seen a couple charts of all the people that he donated to, like all the Republican and Democratic functions, I guess you could say. And we thought he was going to get off scot-free. There was a point in there where I was like, wow, we're just going to forget about this. But now they hit him.
It was mostly Democrat and mostly these organizations. So this has bigger ramifications. We're going into an election year, and they just shut down a major money funding resource for a lot of mainly Democrats whose seats are up in 2024 in the House, the Senate, let alone the presidential election.
I want to see if I can find the chart. So look at this. This is what he gave to in the Republic, like what was considered
the different groups that his Victory Fund, his hedge fund Resurgence, kind of funneled money to.
So this is where he gave all of his money to. So you can see
a lot of blue on that chart.
A lot of blue.
Right?
A couple reds. So when people go, oh well, he also gave to Republicans too. I mean, yeah.
The Republicans and then the Republicans. Yeah. So I'm guessing they're, those like Bill Cassidy. Come on.
Bill Cassidy.
Bozeman.
Oh wait, Bozeman's the one that
Bozeman.
Isn't he the one that just pulled the fire alarm, right?
No, that's Bowman. He's a Democrat.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
We'll segue to him in a minute.
Yeah. Heartland Values. So, is it
who knows what they are?
Oh, thousands of US dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But still, I mean, it's kind of
well, insane. Look at the Democratic Party. It's like off the roof.
Yeah.
Through the roof.
The SEC. Yeah.
Oh, my idiomatic expressions are messed up tonight.
Yeah.
I'm having a stroke, Chris.
We're all, I'm tired.
Watch me. See if the side of my face starts to droop.
Yeah. Are you smelling burnt toast, mother?
Why do I taste so much metal?
About that.
Yeah, we shouldn't.
Is that actually a factor to a stroke? You taste metal?
Yeah, some people taste like metal in their body.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess that must be from like a
stroke or cancer. That's more cancer, I think.
So Sam Bankman-Fried, as we said, I mean, he's probably going to end up facing. I know a bunch of YouTubers cover this, especially CoffeeZilla, who we've talked about before. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's probably. I don't know if he'll get 115 years, but I think he's going to get at least 50 or maybe 30. Enough that it's not. We won't be seeing him for a while. I think
if it's 115 years, maybe he gets probation after a certain number. I don't know, but
Probation after 20 days.
Well, just adding to the whole scam that the guy couldn't even last 5 minutes on a witness stand. So what tells you about this great financier and all the money he makes?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a real freaking genius. No, he was just some sort of person they funneled the money through.
Yeah.
They used him. He was a pawn, the girlfriend, everybody, his family, and they just funneled money to all these different organizations so it wouldn't be tracked.
Yeah.
Totally illegal.
Huh. I mean, yeah. Again, I think it's stuff like this that cause crypto to really fall, in my opinion. I think it's stuff like this that really hurts the crypto industry. Because I'm going to tell you something. I feel like the crypto craze is kind of over. I know people are like, what is this guy talking about? Now, I did call it once, last summer. Remember, I was like, bro, it's going to peak at a certain... And I was right. I nailed it. And then I feel like I'm right again. I think crypto's kind of done. I don't know. I think
some things in the security industry get hot and then they die down, and then all of a sudden they get resurrected years from now. A lot of things in the security industry, it's all based on regulations. You change a regulation, it's the hottest thing ever. You put a regulation in and it dies. So you can resurrect things like crypto once the government gets their piece.
Yeah, I just don't know. I think it's just too... With all the scams that happen, I think it's just too scary to get into now. I think people kind of turn away from it. Stuff like this has given cryptocurrency.
Yeah, it doesn't help. Yeah, it certainly doesn't
remember,
help.
This is just one. There was another one this week. The SafeMoon guys. SafeMoon was another coin that was fairly big. 3 guys. They did a full rug pull, and then thank God for CoffeeZilla because he basically broke the whole thing down. All 3 of them are all going to jail. They all got indicted.
Oh.
So
I wasn't following that.
Yeah, it's funny because it's a bigger. It's probably. Like if Bitcoin's at the top and then you have like Ethereum right underneath it, SafeMoon kind of falls right underneath that in the sense of popularity.
Okay.
But it's definitely in there, like towards the top. So for the crypto space, I just feel like it's dying very, very quickly.
Not as hot a market right now.
Yeah, because all the big ones are falling apart. Bitcoin at least stays the same because there's no Bitcoin works without going super deep into it. Bitcoin works a lot different than the other crypto stuff like FTX and SafeMoon. Crypto or Bitcoin is just like, this is a financial amount, this is how much it's worth, you can turn it into a coin or not. Whereas the rest, it's like, oh, you can, there's pools, make it
a little bit more complicated.
We have this wallet that we're not going to touch, and then all of a sudden they were pulling from that wallet.
Right.
So that's how they got in a lot of trouble. So they went against their own.
Where do the hackers usually go? Bitcoin or to other stuff?
Usually they go to.
Don't make it up.
No, usually they go to the wallets, right? They get into people's wallets.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious why my mic keeps shaking. It's not attached to this table that I'm leaning on.
Yeah, I don't know. Should be fine though.
No, it keeps shaking.
Yeah,
every time I move, it shakes. Do you see
Mom,
that?
your voice just carries.
But no, why is that? It's like the arms aren't even. See that?
Fine.
I'm not even touching it. It's moving.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's. I don't know.
Weird. There's a ghost.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Bowman, which I want to bring him into my next story.
Which one's this?
This is the one about the millionaires. Your tax dollars pay for millionaire Democrats. Fill in the blank. Housing and meals. So this little ditty. Nobody knew about this, and that's part of the reason why the people brings attention to it. So they get a stipend. Our representatives in Congress at the federal level, they have access to $34,000 of an annual subsidy to pay for their Washington, D.C. housing and meal expenses. They've doled out over $8,700 this year alone they used AOC, and the reason why they focused on her is because, as many people may have recalled last year, she was bitching and moaning because she couldn't afford a place in Washington, D.C. on the salary she gets paid for her job, which is currently $174,000 a year.
See, what I always love about AOC, whenever you see pictures of her, she either looks like she's in her mid-20s or she looks like she's 60.
Well, she was bitching about something, which I'm not saying she's not wrong about her case. So normally you have to maintain 2 residences. Your district, obviously, where you live and you represent those people. But you're also expected to be down in D.C. for a regular period of time.
Right.
Do you need to live down there? I don't know. Usually, every senator gets Fridays off, and they go back to their district, supposedly to do work and whatever. So you're really only there maybe 4 days a week. They got 2 months off every summer. I mean, there's a lot of things that play into it.
Damn, if you're from Oregon, that must suck.
Yeah, well, people like that if you're not Nancy Pelosi, who would charter her own plane, Miss Green New Deal, at her own plane to take her back and forth to San Francisco.
Mom, don't take shots at her like that. Okay.
But, for somebody out that way, so that's flying also. It's meals, it's lodging. I think somebody put in for the flights too. But point is, nobody knew about this, okay? And Washington, D.C. is a very expensive area to live in. Do they have to live right in D.C.? I mean, I would really like to know, are they maximizing the dollars that they're being given?
I wonder
or are they using it just to live to convenience in the nice shishi areas of Washington, D.C.?
My other question would be, like, for especially someone of, like, AOC caliber, I wonder if there's only certain places you can live because of security reasons. Like, I have to believe that people like this have bodyguard, like, certain levels of security all around. Like in neighborhoods
all the ones that wanted to defund the police, I think it's Cori Bush is one of them.
Yeah.
She hired private security for herself.
Of course they did.
The taxpayers pay for that.
Yeah, of course.
So we pay for that, which is another reason why I say, you shouldn't have to live in a dangerous area. That's not what I'm saying.
Well, see, the way I see it though is
keep in mind there are some that sleep in cots in their office.
Right. Yeah, I believe that. But I think when you're a political representative, just anything in politics, I think you always kind of have a target on your head, whether you're a good person or not. You know what I mean? So I don't think the area itself matters if it's safe or not. Does that make sense?
No, not at all. It's the job. That's the job.
Right, but
if
you still
don't
have a
like
target
it,
on your head.
Then don't do the job.
Well, yeah,
okay?
But I agree. But like we can't. Area is not the issue. It's
no, but I'm saying if you want to live in Georgetown, for instance, which is a very expensive area, it's going to cost a lot more than if you get a reasonably priced apartment in, say, Arlington, Virginia. But you might have to commute. Right? So that's my only issue because nobody tracks this. They're only
my question though is
they don't have to have to supply any receipts or anything for it. The only thing is they're not allowed to use it to pay for a mortgage.
Right. My question though is, and this kind of goes back to the original question: are there certain areas, like of course you can live anywhere within reason as long as you're showing up, but are there areas in Washington D.C. that are kind of made for these wealthy politicians and it's backed by security? Like there's a security.
Christopher, the area around Washington, D.C. is one of the wealthiest areas in the United States of America. We had this discussion on the podcast. Why? Because all our tax dollars get funded into those schools, the developments, the whole district.
Right.
So immediately around Washington, D.C., are there poor areas? Sure. There's
of course
regionally, marginally, struggling areas. For the most part, it is one of the nicest places you're ever going to live in this country right now. So for them, my point is, I don't think any of them are wondering, how far can I push it where I'll be safe? I would really like to know how many of them are staying in very expensive places just so they could be in a nice area of D.C. when the taxpayers are paying for it and when it had to come out of their own money. But to add insult to injury, so there's 113 Democrats and 104 representatives who used this program in 2023, costing taxpayers about $1.4 million. Nobody knows about this stuff. What bothers me with this article is at least 17 of those people are millionaires.
Yeah.
They have multiple houses, and they're going to put in for their housing in Washington, D.C., okay? Now, I'm not including this woman in it. I don't know what her financial status is. She's probably getting close to that. But it's nickel and diming us, and I just question, I'm sure these millionaires aren't living in some marginal area.
Right.
And maybe they're staying in very expensive, but they're using the stipend to supplement it. My attitude is let their states pay for it.
Yeah, I agree.
So let New York pay for her, and maybe states like New Jersey may say, no, we're not paying for that, so you could commute on the train. Take the train every week, sleep in a cot in your office, or pay for it yourself out of your salary. That's a decision for each state to make. I don't know why, just because it's a federal office, why we should have to pay. Likewise, why am I subsidizing someone in Oregon to truck in all the time? Let his people subsidize it.
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't see why that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
because I understand there's costs associated. You have to be in both places. I'm just guessing a lot of these individuals are not, roughing it.
Right. They look at what they can and can get away with by using tax dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it's being subsidized and they can put in, they don't have to show receipts or anything. One of these people, by the way, is your favorite, Jamal Bowman.
Yeah.
Mr. Bowman, who paid
I don't know what a fire alarm is.
$1,000 fine. He billed the taxpayers $6,200 this year for rent and meals. Meanwhile, his wife, according to their financial disclosures, has a pension that's worth $50 million. Okay?
What?
However, this is the wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
What?
I don't know what she did.
The hell?
His comment was, "Oh no, it's not 50 million. It's 50,000." But they have yet to amend the supposed error that was on the financial statements.
Yeah, that sounds more realistic.
Okay.
$50 million pension.
Right. So you're putting it. Well, no.
Who's got a $50 million?
I don't know. Maybe she was in the financial industry. I don't know who she is. I didn't research it. I'm just going by this article and by the fact that he said, well, it's not 50 million, it's 50,000. Okay, that's fine. He hasn't amended what was written down because you have to supply this information. If you amend it in a document, you got problems. That's illegal. If you say it verbally, you can say whatever you want to, and they can't. But having said that, so for that he put in $6,200 stinking dollars for the taxpayers to pay for his rent and meals. That's what I'm saying. The auditing is really lacking. Not to say if one person's entitled to the stipend, everybody should be. But maybe we should really look at and control it a little better because they're telling you that you don't have to supply anything. They're not looking for any sort of documentation. They do not have to submit receipts. They only have to certify that they incurred the eligible expenses.
Yeah, I still think that if you're going back to what you said about if you don't like the job, don't do it. I think that every politician at the end of every quarter should put in like where they're putting all of their money. Like I'd be very curious to see how much insider trade, because it stops the insider trading. I think if you're a politician, you should be required to do that. That's my new thing.
Well, it's $174,000 a year in salary that she makes. Now, can you support 2 residences with that? Maybe not. But maybe you should think about that before you run for office for some people. Right. And also, it shouldn't stop you from running for office. But is it really our responsibility on the federal level to dole out money? Especially like people in Delaware. They could take a train.
Well, it's nice to know she's not she's complaining. That means she's not doing any insider trading.
Well, she's not complaining anymore about it because now she's getting this stipend. When she got there, she was complaining about it. They ripped into her over the Tesla car that she had. The electric Tesla car.
Really? Why?
Because she was going after Tesla, after Elon Musk. You know, not green and all that stuff, or not green enough, whatever her complaint was. And they said to her, yeah, but you're driving a Tesla. Well, that's because that's the only one that I can get from my home to D.C. on a single charge.
Wow. Where does she live again? What's her?
Bronx.
Oh,
I don't know where she lives.
Maybe
her district is the Bronx.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's true. But now...
I'm just saying, that's not a cheap car. Okay?
Yeah, not at all.
Right.
But maybe she's leasing it.
I don't know. Maybe. That's very possible she's leasing. I don't know what the situation is. But again, it's $174,000 a year. And you knew what you were getting into. And maybe those are the kind of questions you should ask before you start complaining about taxpayers need to do more for me besides pay my salary because I need to be in D.C. when there are other people who literally sleep in their office.
Yeah. How true is that, though? Like, how many... Are we talking about 2 politicians out of 180? Or?
I would do it.
Yeah, I would, too.
I would absolutely do it. You don't have to commute. You get your work done. You have a better chance of getting out of there on a Thursday. Right?
But also, how big's the office? That's the other... That's
it's very small for low-end... For, what do they call them? Junior members. I'm sure you're not getting the corner office. But it's choices, and, be honest about this, though. Nobody disclosed this. It was tucked into some financial bill that, that was their other complaint. Could you be transparent about it and let people know? I think taxpayers should know this stuff.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And they put it into some sort of appropriations bill. I don't even know what it was.
Well, that's why
it's in the article.
That was the big argument to why crypto. It would be nice if crypto was regulated by the government because they can't not trace it because it's not in America. So you'd have the receipts of wherever the money goes.
But people don't want knowing where their money goes. It's like the Swiss bank account. Nobody wants to know. Oh, government money,
That's why with government regulations, these guys would have to, they wouldn't have a choice. It would be disclosed automatically.
I suppose. I don't know. I mean, they're not hiding it. They just don't have to. Nobody made this whole thing public. And I suppose if it's offered to everybody, okay, draw down on it. But maybe you'd like to let the taxpayers know that this is something else. I'm sure they realize that probably wouldn't go over too big if people making $174,000 a year. Think about some people in the Midwest. They'll never see $100,000 a year.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, they're paying the taxes so they could do this, plus get another stipend for rent and housing in D.C.
Yeah.
And then you throw Mr. Bowman in the mix.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Okay.
Him and his $50 million pension. That probably isn't. Well,
It's his wife's.
His wife's.
Wife's. I guess she's not peeling any off for his housing in D.C.
Yeah, but okay, hold on. Ready? Transition. Here comes the segue. Hold on, I got this. Ready? Here comes the segue. But you know where we should be putting our money?
Where?
Especially the younger kids. The Texas elementary school students donate allowances and raise money to help classmates see color.
That's my feel-good story. I told you I had a good one.
Story. So you want to give us the rundown? A group of Texas fifth graders have raised enough money and donated their allowances to help a colorblind classmate see in color for the first time.
Yeah, the teacher
asked... but they couldn't afford surgery? Bums.
You can't do surgery. They talked about...
Losers.
They were asking everybody what their favorite color is. And he says, I don't have one because I can't see colors. So
he's full colorblind.
Yeah, apparently he's fully colorblind. However, he did mention to his mother, because she realized there's a problem, when he said, doesn't the green sunrise or sunset look beautiful? She goes, green? So he did see, I think he got 2 sets of glasses, one for inside and one for outside. I guess he sees mostly gray, but in maybe certain settings they can pull certain colors for him. So yeah, the kids decided to raise money for him when they found out that he needed these glasses.
What if we find out it's all a lie?
No, come on.
He's been making it up this whole time.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. How much does that cost? Do they have the...
They didn't put the price in there. I looked.
Boo. I wonder how much those glasses cost.
I don't know if they're expensive or, obviously if the kids had to pull allowance.
Yellow and colorful classroom around him are different until classrooms take things into their own hands, collecting their allowance to do... Students bought 2 pairs of glasses, one for inside out there. Makes me feel thankful because I didn't know they would do this for me. I always like these kind of stories because have you ever seen the one, the more famous one is the guy that they got the whole city to learn sign language for this one guy.
Oh, I didn't see that story.
So he would go, it was a couple of years ago, but this guy, he's just like he's with his, I guess, girlfriend or wife, and people would just be like, oh, like bump into him on purpose. And like, oh, my bad. And he's just like... And then he gets home and everyone in the city
nice.
Learns sign language.
Even if you learn the basics, just to be polite, hi, how are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
that was my feel-good story.
I get more out of the sad stories than this. Hey, can I get some more doom and gloom, please?
Well, let's go from these nice young kids to the moron Hamas people. Okay, so I put 2 videos.
Wow, big.
But they're funny videos.
The translation doesn't. The transition.
Transition. They're funny ones only because I saw 2 of them.
It?
No, that's not it.
Which one?
No, who knows? Go down further. It might be down low.
Well, no.
Yeah, down there.
Oh.
The second video down there. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So I've seen 2 of these.
I'm doing. I love these. The big petitions.
Yes. So he goes in and he says to him, will you sign this to...
Making homosexuality punishable by jail or death? Oh, no, you don't agree with that?
Yeah,
you believe
I've seen these.
Use Palestinians as puppets to spread radical jihad and destroy the West? No. I'm glad I read the terms of agreement. You support Sharia law, which bans a woman.
So point is a couple of these, and for all these people that were so quick to sign it to support Hamas, when he starts going over, all right, this is what that means. If you support, this is what this group in particular stands for. Now, all of a sudden, they pause and think twice.
Well, this goes back to what we talked about, I think, on the last podcast, where I think people don't really completely understand what they're talking about when they say Free Palestine.
No,
right?
They don't.
And I'm sure there's some people there that truly just want to help the Palestinian people because they see both sides as bad, but they don't realize how bad... what Hamas wants.
He specifically says Hamas, not Palestine, but Hamas.
Yeah. Tim Kennedy was just talking about this. Try being an LGBTQ person over in.
That's right.
In front of. I guess it's.
Try being Gigi Hadid, wearing some of the outfits she wears.
She would
over
get
in
murdered.
Palestine. So for all, and shame on her father who knows better, because I believe he's from that part of the world, to be supporting his daughter. It's one thing to support, nobody wants genocide for any group of people, but is he not educating his daughters how lucky they are for what they have in this country? They could never do what they do in the Arab world.
Yeah, no,
they couldn't.
0%. They get killed.
No,
but
they might be able to in Israel.
In Israel, they would. That's what Tim Kennedy was
democracy.
saying. They wouldn't care. Yeah. But that's why it's so crazy how. And again, it goes back to I just don't think it's a lack of education. They don't know what exactly they're talking about, but these are talking points that they use.
Well, did you read the article I sent you about TikTok?
There's a couple.
Yes, I saw 2 today on the same theme, and I would like to get your opinion on it. I don't know if you could do it on your podcast, but the person goes through both articles. The 2 people go through. It's blatantly obvious that so many young people today, 18 to 35-year-old, are getting the bulk of their information from TikTok, and when they do the look through and this blah, 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 most of the information they're getting is pro-Hamas, 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 pro-Hamas. Very little is pro-Israel. So he says when somebody is so addicted to this stuff and they're watching it consistently, getting their information from it, it is obviously very much, like you always say, the algorithms and all this stuff.
Yeah, it's tough.
Their story blows these algorithms away. They're like, don't buy it. That's not what's going on here.
Yeah, I don't know how that works because I've never gotten a pro-Hamas or pro-Palestine or whatever. Like, I don't see anything on the war ever on my TikTok.
Yeah, so it's whatever you're.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're
like. If you only follow news, then maybe it's promoting that. Again, I couldn't give you the answer to that. But again, if you're getting news off TikTok, again, I put that with.
That's where the young people get it from. That's the point.
I believe it. I believe it, but it's like to me, that's like the same thing as getting your news from The View. Whoopi Goldberg has nothing to offer.
Right, but for so many of us who scratch our heads and we don't understand, we're blaming it on academia, which is, as we see, is a big portion of it. Yep. But also the source of the information that young people and even younger, which is scary, they're relying on a communist-controlled website where, as somebody said it, their kids are getting spinach and broccoli. Our kids are getting fentanyl when they, comparing what we're looking at.
Right.
And they're getting it 40 minutes a day and it's cut off. Ours are getting it. They said some of our kids, they're on it 24 hours a day. Yeah. They never put it down and never stop. So that's where, now you start to understand, why are all these kids, I didn't know anything about Hamas when I was in college, or so much of this information's coming in, and you've got more immigrants, you've got more people from that area, you've got obviously colleges, people manipulating information, but on top of it, now you're seeing this, and they're obviously not getting
the important information.
It's getting propaganda.
Because I guarantee you, all these people, I shouldn't say all, but I like to think common sense still exists, where these people are starting to realize, as you can see as they're going through this, what am I promoting here? Right. So that's kind of the beauty of this. They do this all the time with oh shit, I forget what it was, but it was
policies.
Yeah, they'll do it over a lot of policies of what's going on. I wish I had one before. I couldn't think of it. I'm a little cloudy brained right now. But when you break down what these people are trying to say versus what propaganda they've been thrown, I mean, think of the hospital bombing that apparently ended up not being true at all.
Yep.
Remember? So again, it's very hard to look at the facts, what we do know, not from TikTok, but from both Democratic and Republican or conservative and liberal media. They all agree that this Hamas thing needs to stop. So that's why, as we talked about in the last podcast, the fact that we're kind of coming together on this is good, and it's good that we're educating these people who don't understand.
Well, I would disagree with you with something. Go ahead. A lot of the media, no, they're not. What they're saying is Israel has to stop. They need to do a ceasefire.
Really? I haven't seen that at all.
Oh, yes. That's the predominant message on mainstream media. Israel must stop what they're doing because they're killing Palestinians. Because you don't understand what's going on over there. Like we're idiots, okay? But aside from that, let's move that to the side, what's going over there. For people in this country or anywhere in the world, when you're confronted with, you support Hamas, I support Hamas, what's happened to them, they're refugees, they've been oppressed by Israel. Okay, what does Hamas stand for? And to shock people by telling them this is what this is. I'm still shocked that people don't understand about Islam does not support homosexuality.
Yeah.
It does not support transgenderism.
Isn't it amazing how, the LGBTQ community has a lot of people who are pro-Hamas, just generally I'm saying, but literally Hamas hates them in every way, shape, and form. Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah. They're laughing at them, the Hamas people.
They're like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, you won't last 5 minutes in our side of the world. I shouldn't say all Islam, but in our side of the world, you're not going to last 5 minutes. Even something like Sharia law, which we've talked about, is ingrained in some Western, or is part of some Western judicial systems already, Western world. When young women especially hear what that means, Sharia law, all of a sudden they pause. What?
Yeah,
that's what they support in these nations. And I love these, lately I've been seeing a lot of videos. I'm sure you've seen them. The women in Tehran in 1970 looked like you and me. The women in Tehran today are covered from head to toe in black. They go through every Arab nation over there, and they'll show you a picture of
yeah,
them.
you and I have very different algorithms and whatever.
Well, this comes up whatever I was looking at. But you see all these pictures, and they're black and white from the 70s, even some in the 80s. And then these theocracies came in with Sharia law and Islamic enforcements in there. And you wound up with ayatollahs running these countries and not the king, Shah, whatever. And the women are the first ones to get the most oppressed, covered from head to toe.
I mean, just like in just countries that are, again, we're very blind as Americans as to what goes on in the world, except for what we get from
young
news.
People.
Yeah, but also like people see Dubai as this great place, which I think it is, but you have to understand like the rules that they have with all that great things that they have, like F1 racing, whatever. When it comes to women, they're still pretty oppressed. Like if you can't talk to them, you're not supposed to.
It's a very strict part of the world.
But it's just like how it works over there. We don't have a say in that. So in our mind, you would like. My question would be like, if you give a situation where a woman trips in front of you and like, oh, you're okay? Are you okay? You do that in America. Mm-hmm. Over there in Dubai, you can go to prison for that.
Yeah,
like,
you
it's
can't
insane.
touch another woman.
Yeah, it's insane. So we're so naive as a country as to what really goes on overseas. You get it a little bit, but you're not physically there, so you don't really understand it.
Right.
Does that make sense? So because you don't have that hands-on feeling, you get stuff like this.
Yes.
Where I'm rallying behind Palestine, not knowing exactly what's going on in Palestine.
Right.
So, yeah.
I was watching a debate between Ben Shapiro at the Oxford Union Club and a young woman. You saw it. And, when he netted it out, and for all her, she's throwing out the oppression and brutalized and children being murdered, et cetera, et cetera. Not saying it doesn't happen, right? But after he boiled it down to her, what sovereign nation? What are you talking about? What border did they peacefully march on that they got attacked? And by the end of the conversation, she was admitting that Israel doesn't belong there. Okay? That's always what it comes down to. They don't want Israel there.
Yeah.
Okay? Weird. For us in the Western world, Israel's the only democracy over there. Every place else is either a theocracy, a monarchy, and that's how it's ruled. That's what the people want. Fine. But the Jews in that region, and they've had battles over it. It's been given to them by other countries. I don't know how many more ways Israel can tell you this is legitimately our land. I don't care who was here before that. We were here before that too. But, go through history. This is legitimately our land. These are our borders. If you don't like it, fine. But nobody ever wants to negotiate. Israel's always come to the table. Two-state solution, whatever. And then you see this mentality where people now, they don't even want to hear it anymore.
Yeah,
their knee-jerk is to support Palestine. If you knew nothing about the area, coming from a Western world like us, why would you support an oppressive group versus a democracy, or a theocracy versus a democracy?
Well, the only reason that I guess the mainstream media is telling is why am I struggling with all
American people?
There's too many eyes over there. No, Israelites, the Israelis. Is the only reason that they're like telling them to stand down is because they're absolutely decimating the Hamas right now. Like when you look at a battlefield of like they did a progression of how it started versus where it is now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're wrecking Hamas, to my understanding.
But we're not what they know, and we're realizing as on our side of the world, there's an entire city under Palestine.
Yeah,
that's the main hub. That's where they run Hamas. And it's not Hamas. Hamas is a small potatoes. Yeah. It's all the other ones they draw into it. And that's kind of been the goal. It's not Israel. It's us. They want the U.S. in this war.
Yep.
They're not.
Well, Iran just announced World War III, or they want to do World War III. Or something like
Iran, they're Hezbollah.
Yeah.
Hezbollah's bigger threat. You got your ISIS, you got your Al-Qaeda, you got all these groups over there that we've been funding through a couple of our administrations, nauseatingly. And here we sit now, they're trying to draw us into this conflict because rightfully so, Israel is our ally over there. It's just more the point. If you're going to pick a side, for God's sakes, be educated.
Yeah.
All right?
Get all the information first before... I mean,
especially something as basic as this. This isn't even about the geopolitical. This is what basic. Hamas stands for.
Yeah, this is literally the terms and conditions of Sharia law. That's literally Sharia law.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you want to take it, do all Islamic people believe that? No, but there's some tenets to Islam, especially in that region, that maybe they're comfortable living with, women being covered for, modesty, whatever, and you don't touch a woman. Maybe women would like that over there. I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's for them to decide. They're from those areas. But it's appalling if we were to say that to some of the same individuals who are pro these groups and anti-Israel. If I said to them, okay, you're okay with covering from head to toe. You're okay with, doing not being allowed to travel anywhere without a man. No, we don't do that here. That's an older way of doing things.
Right.
We've moved past that. Well, again, you better educate yourself on the area before you throw your support behind it and start questioning, okay, what am I supporting here? No. I'm learning a lot more about that region as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other part of it was how out of the blue this was, right, with the other wars going on. And I think because of that, there was no real time, not giving these people an excuse, but there was really no time to educate yourself, right?
See how quickly the mainstream media and a lot of these individuals moved away from the fact that they just slaughtered a group of people in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
For 7 hours, they went about, and it's not even, we talked about it was horrendous. When you read, I saw another article, I didn't bring it to this because it's very dark, but going back throughout the whole time of Islam and their jihads, they never want to kill anybody. It's always, we will cut your head off and drink your blood. Like, they are bloodthirsty in their jihads. Yeah. Not all the people, but
it amazes
in that
me how that's
background.
Not considered war crimes, but that's a whole other topic. Like,
it is war
sometimes
crimes.
I wonder what the definition of war crime is, where the United Nations hasn't stepped in at some point.
United Nations they're ineffectual. They have no point anymore. I hope we stop funding them because they're useless and sometimes they cause more problems. It's just that knee-jerk. Not that I laugh, but I'm saying, for everyone's head who's spinning over this, let me just remind you, there's always been trouble over there, but one group, doesn't matter who, in the middle of a day, stormed another country and slaughtered innocent people.
And kidnappings, too.
There's 500
people
Americans.
People that were just visiting, remember?
500 Americans are being held hostage over there.
Yeah, that's insane.
As our president is going to the beach for another weekend. That is outrageous to me. They're not being allowed to leave, which by definition is a hostage.
Yeah, I wonder how many U.S. soldiers. He's on the beach because I think our soldiers are in there right now. Our secret soldiers, you know what I mean?
I'm not thrilled with that concept.
I have a good reason to believe that.
I need our soldiers on our own border.
Yeah, no, I agree. But
this is becoming a real problem on our own border, and people aren't realizing it, and there will be situations like we saw in Israel.
That 600,000 or whatever it was caravan, remember that?
No, it's like 6,000. They keep picking up more and more people.
Oh, it was more than 6,000, that caravan that was coming over?
Right, but they keep picking up more, so they picked 1,000 more up because they're coming all the way up, and as they go, the caravan grows till they get to Mexico. They used to have to stay there. With the previous president, was remain in Mexico. You get processed to come into the U.S. Now there is no policy, and they just keep coming over, to the tune of 600,000 this year. But our point is,
I'm gonna need a button for when this crosses over to the doom and gloom podcast. It just it's unfortunate what's going on in Israel. It's unfortunate what's going on in the Middle East. But don't get distracted. Our own country is slowly and quietly and stealthily coming under attack. There's far too many terrorists coming over our border, and that's for a reason. And people need to wake up to it. It's not doom and gloom. Start paying attention to what's going on down there, because we're going to see situations, not coming from me. I'm reading from people in the military. I'm reading from security individuals who are retired but have been involved, who are saying, you're going to start to see that stuff here. Yeah, this is not good. Right. On to happier news. I can't even transition off that one, but Elon says that AI will create a world where no job is needed, but the NVIDIA billionaire couldn't disagree more. Now, I'm curious as to what you think on this one, because I'm definitely on the fence of, like, I kind of agree with Jensen Huang, I think his name is. So you know who he is? He's
Jensen Huang, billionaire.
Is that how you spell
Huang?
Huang.
Yeah, Huang.
But he's the CEO of NVIDIA, who they make the graphics cards.
Yep.
So NVIDIA has been doing a lot with the AI recently. Now people are kind of almost scared of the next generation NVIDIA graphics cards because of their AI abilities, which is I'm okay with that because it's really just AI upscaling, which I need in my video games. But I kind of agree with him on this one. I think we are kind of getting to a point where we're starting to see the limitations of AI. So I think Elon's right about there will be a point where certain jobs will be cut out, but I think actually Sam Tripoli said this recently, but you still have to ask it the questions to train it. Something still has to train it. It's very hard for a robot to train another robot. We're not at that point yet, but again, I don't see that as necessarily a bad thing when certain jobs. I've kind of shifted to the point where at first I was like, oh no, we're losing jobs. But then I remember that some of the jobs that are going to be taken are jobs that aren't really useful. It would be a waste of resources to put people in that position rather than just give them a different position. Does that make sense? So like ticket booth salespeople. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, like people who, if say you're going to the movies, there's tickets, right? Most of those you can do with a basic machine nowadays. You don't need people.
Right.
You could take those people. I'm not saying, oh no, he wants the jobs getting taken over. It's just like you can use them for other things. Because I saw a video of a guy who works at a movie theater. He was cleaning this whole movie theater by himself.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no one else for this?
Right.
Right? So how about you take those ticket booth people that you don't really need anymore and put them in those positions?
Right.
Right. So I do think I'm kind of down the middle on this one, honestly. But I kind of agree more. I definitely lean more towards Jensen's side because I think that from what I know about AI, there's still a lot more work that needs to be done in order to start taking more serious jobs. And I don't think that's going to happen during my lifetime.
I don't know enough about it. I mean, there's an individual who's written, really follows it, and he scares you. His name's Joe Allen, but he's written some books about it, and he really looks into what a lot of individuals say, including Elon Musk, about AI, the future of it. And some of them have outright said humans will no longer exist. We won't need humans. So my point is then, who is we? We won't need humans. Is the goal just a select few of people to monitor the AI world around them? Or is it they're working so hard to eliminate the need for humans altogether, which I say, what's your point? You know, why is this a plus that you're creating artificial intelligence to the point where we won't need humans? And I see what Musk is saying, but my question is, okay, so you don't need a job. What do human beings do all day? Just sit and surf on the internet then?
Yeah.
I mean, that tells me if you're not working, things will be provided for you. Which is kind of massive socialist communist utopia that does not make human beings happy. Because, as this man says, humans have a lot of ideas. They do. They have a lot of ideas. We're creative beings. We're people that have a conscience. We're people that have a soul, if you will. We know right from wrong. We don't always do right. We do wrong. But that's what gives you like a humanity.
Yeah, I think people like the idea of, I don't want to say, I think there's a certain level of, I mean, we know a lot of people like this, including Dad. Some people retire and then they realize that they're just bored, right? Like they could do stuff, but then if tomorrow someone said to you, I can make you a robot that does all your jobs for you, I think you'll think, oh my God, that's amazing. But after a couple weeks, you're like, wow, this is really boring. You need something to work for.
Yeah.
Right? Now, again, you could make the argument every kid wants to be a streamer or a YouTuber nowadays, which is true. But like once they see how much work goes into it, they lose interest real fast. So,
but again, society has to run. You still have to eat. You still have to have a home. Okay, AI is going to create your food. Okay, AI is going to create your home. So what's the difference? So we're all going to live in the same type of home. We're all going to eat the same food or whatever's provided. There's no creativity to that. We're working towards the robots deciding for the few humans that will be left, I assume. You know, this is what you get. And unless the variables are inputted into AI to differentiate between you and me and what we're each entitled to, which that's scary. A robot's got to decide that. Yeah. You're just looking at a communistic utopian society. But it ain't utopian because human beings don't want to be put in a box.
Here's a question. How would you feel? You have Democrat, Republican, and then you also have robot that is the moral, like the middleman. Like an AI that's the middleman to help make the decisions when they're arguing over something.
I got to know who programmed the AI, because that's only as good as the data you put in it.
Right. You can't. I don't think you can make a perfect AI. I think that's kind of the conclusion that I've kind of come to. I think, as you said, an AI like these ChatGPTs and stuff, they're only as good as the information you put in. That's why I completely agree with. That's really what it boils down to. I think Jensen's right. Humans have a lot of ideas, and they're able to make decisions based off those ideas. Mm-hmm. Whereas an AI is making decisions based on what decisions have been made based off those decisions.
Right.
So, and that's why I don't think it's actually possible to have a society run by robots. Again, they can be a useful tool.
Well, I don't think Elon Musk has been able to, and people like him have been able to justify it either. I think he understands that. Where are we going with this? His technical mind and his creative mind sees the value in, or wants to see that come to fruition, because it's the ultimate in computing. It's the ultimate in society when it comes to electronics, mathematics, and all this stuff. And it's a great direction to go in. But I think even he knows, but where are we going with it?
Yeah, that's the ultimate question. I think it's going to be used as a tool for helping humans, but the idea that it's going to take over humans, then I think no one wants that.
Yes, they do.
I don't know why you would.
That's what I'm telling you. Exactly. Yeah. And there's a large group of them, mostly in the Belgian group, the World Economic people, all those clowns, those quote-unquote academics that screw up everything. The ones that are trying to break down family with policies, because that's what helps. That's what helps a society move forward into an AI existence, believe it or not. When you break down families, you separate children from parents. You don't have that nuclear structure. Now you create the society where we will tell you how many children, we will tell you your food, we will tell you where we live, we'll tell you, which they're constantly trying to do. And fighting it is the human spirit saying, we don't want to live like that.
Right, but when making an AI, like the idea of a robots only and no humans, then to your earlier point, then who is we?
Right.
Because they're not making the decisions anymore.
That's
so
what
it's
I'm
like,
saying.
what are they trying to do?
Right. You listen to these individuals.
The goal of those kind of people are to have power. But if they're taken over by robots, they lose their power. That's why I don't understand that mentality.
It's a very warped sense, and I'm not comfortable deep diving into, I listen to Joe Allen, he's very interesting. He follows all this stuff, and he gives you the highlights of some of these nut jobs. That's their mentality. They believe it. That's their religion, that eventually we will no longer need humans. Humans will become unnecessary. Well, we're talking about religions, including Islam and every other one. We believe in a superior being, and it's not an AI machine.
Yeah.
So you'd have to slaughter every human being in order to make the AI all powerful. Humans always going to be a greater power, if you will, than a machine, because we have something that's not tangible, something that's an essence of us.
You can't make a conscience.
Right, and AI doesn't have an essence. Yeah. It has, as you said, it may look human, sound human, and feel human, but it's a machine.
It can't think for itself because it's thinking based off whatever not. Well, but then again, I guess you could make the argument that any human, technically any knowledge that you have is knowledge that has been given to you through our education systems, through certain things.
Yeah, data comes in. That is true. But a human being is already wired, if you will, to be a certain way from the beginning. And as far as we know, it has endless possibilities of how it's going to be wired. So whatever AI has is created from that first computer, and blah, 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 blah. And like you said, data in, data out.
So I think a robot will be able, or an AI will be able to do that same thing, but the way it gets from point A to point B won't be the same as humans. Does that make sense? Because they're still getting the same amount of data. It's just... And I'm sure they'll be able to use that data how we would probably use it. Like if I see, like if if I want to do this, the robot's going to do the same thing, but it's going to get the information somewhere else on how to do this.
Right.
It's not necessarily wrong. It's just different. And that's why I don't think that, I think that we as humans will always be superior because it's a different type. But, I mean, if you start giving these robots wings and, like, built-in guns, then that might be a different
But, you know,
story.
it's also true, too, which sometimes humans don't care for. I can make 100,000 AI machines, a particular unit, like the Terminator, the TI, whatever. It's going to come out. It's going to be a certain way that I tell it to. I could take 100 human beings and put them in the exact same environment. They're not all going to be exact.
Yeah.
That's the essence of being human. Yeah, there are inputs to being a human as you're being raised. Your parents' input, your school input, the data you get, the environment you're in, right? But even like twins in the same everything.
Even they're different.
A parent will tell you they have an essence and they're distinctly different. They could be similar because they're siblings, but they're their own individual human being. That's the essence of being a human. Right. You're not going to get that from AI. That's legitimate. You know, you could program some sort of spiritual thing into it, but there's a difference. We're human beings are, thank God, special. Meaning, some can be evil. Some people are born and you don't know why they're the way they are. We don't know enough about human beings and how they're wired at birth, whatever. And maybe we'll break it down. Maybe when we get to the essence of what human beings are. As a religious person, I believe there's a difference.
Here's a question. Do you think that the future is going to be AI robots, like separate entities? Or do you think it's going to be AI built into the brain to help it, quote unquote? Because I think that's more likely. I think robots
I think robots will start first.
Yeah. And then I think it's going to be, you're going to have the cyborg sort of mentality where it's supposed to help you.
Right.
But I have no clue what that's going to look like. I don't think that's going to be in my lifetime. But I think that there is a huge benefit, like when you look at Neuralink, Neuralink. He's got too many, Starlink, Neuralink. But so with Neuralink, I think that's an AI system that will help many people. But
there was some who say that they've started the process of getting humans used to that with our recent vaccination program, that you will have things given to you and trial basis. Let's see how receptive people are to receiving things. And then the next phase is let's start promoting things for people that will enhance their brain. Who doesn't want to be a genius?
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Is that necessarily a bad thing?
If everybody's a genius, then what's a genius?
Yeah, but...
and geniuses who don't work all day.
Yeah, you're definitely muddying up the pool of like... So how about this? If you want to preserve humanity, right, and you want us to go... Would you rather a generation of geniuses that literally advance the future so far in their lifetime, in their 100 years, but not give it to the next generation? Would you be okay with that?
What do you mean not give it to the next generation? So the next
generation, so let's say if my kids would be the generation that gets the Neuralink. They all get it at birth or whatever.
Okay.
These kids are the geniuses where they'll probably end up making things that'll help society. Their kids cannot get Neuralink. Because then you have a generation of 100 years where you have a world of geniuses, which, again, that's a 50-50. That could either destroy itself or it can make mankind significantly better than... Imagine having, 8 billion Elon Musks? Like that level of knowledge?
I don't...
Because what you're doing essentially is fast-forwarding.
I disagree. I'm not... I don't see the benefit, I'll be honest. To me, I don't need a generation of half computer people. Okay? I would rather human beings... We were on in history, okay? Think about the genius it took for somebody with no education to create a wheel. We take shit like that for granted. A human being did that. No AI, no computer.
There's also a guy that milked the cow.
Right. Or somebody who figured out, how to take fire and cook things. So that in the relatively small amount of time, all the knowledge that exploded to where we are today. We went from literally nothing, possibly, as some people might say, we went from being apes or whatever, to advancing to the point where here we are. Now we're going in reverse, thanks to all this. People are learning less now. People are not critically thinking as much. People aren't growing their brains. And I think that's the evolution. Ironically, the more technology you put in, the less challenged human beings are. And the answer is, well, let's put that inside the person.
Right.
Now they have no need to expand their brain. You're doing it artificially. If we really want to evolve and have people, we should be pushing people to learn more, and we're going in the opposite direction.
Right, but that kind of goes back to my question of, if we're going in the opposite direction, how far down in the opposite direction do we have to go before we say, okay, we have to start putting Neuralink in so people have the capacity to understand things a lot better?
I don't know what the degree of how far down, unless we start seeing like
based on
massive people so stupid they don't know how to eat. They can't feed themselves. They can't function. I don't know. I mean, I think you would have to see a huge evolution in the mind for that. But I don't see...
I'm definitely talking in extremes, but I'm just curious how... What point do we have to get to where it's like, hey, Neuralink's the only thing that can kind of progress humanity?
Well, I think there's a value to... maybe not putting it in a human, but if you tell me, well, AI could really solve cancer, great. Get a machine and do that. Or AI could really solve world hunger and figure out how to do it. But I'll tell you something. We could do that already.
Yeah.
If we would let the politics, the evil, the drama get out of the way. Imagine, I mean, everyone thinks it's going to be some utopian society when you put the AI in, but we could do a lot of that stuff now. You can solve world hunger, but you got to deal with world leaders who won't let food get to their people. It's just like that is what stops world hunger. You don't need, we have countries that have a lot of wealth. I mean, think about it. Our country, everybody's getting incredibly heavy. And yet other parts of the world, people are starving.
Yeah.
That's an imbalance. Now, I'm not saying take food away from people, whatever, but there's ways to do it. We don't need a machine to figure that out. We're not that stupid, The difference is machines don't know right from wrong. They're logical.
Right.
Human beings aren't logical. They are self-motivated. They want power. They want money. Some of them are born wanting to just deconstruct things. That's why you have issues. We're human beings, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you want to make AI just to do your dirty work because nobody wants to say to the powerful people, we've had enough and you're not controlling us anymore and we could get food to people. I don't need people telling me I need a windmill, okay? That's not logical. Yeah, so that's all I'm saying is I think AI has a place. We have problems in the world that if it could solve it, but there's a lot of problems. Everybody says, oh, AI could solve this or that. Yeah, so could human beings if you just get them out of the way.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And what's the rush? A lot of things to me is, what's the rush with certain things? Yeah, I'd love to cure cancer. I mean, I think that would be great. But think about it. We're very close right now. Every day you hear amazing things going on. 100% would be wonderful. That would be a great goal to have.
All the cancer guys that have mysteriously died. But that's another
topic. But yeah. But other stuff, like, how do I get more wind to spin and make stuff? It really hasn't been doing much anyhow, so maybe we should just let them go.
Just let them go,
Just let them go. Move on.
All right, well, we just did an hour. I was going to talk about the terrible Call of Duty, but I don't think that's much news, so I'm okay with ending it there.
I don't have a question for this week. Did you get answers to that WNBA question from Clay Travis?
I don't think so. I don't think anyone...
People didn't want to... I wanted people's opinion on that one.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know if he's going to do it. I haven't heard if he's going to follow through or if they took the challenge out.
Yeah. It's funny how the news cycle just like you completely forget about that stuff. There's so much news. You'll have Hamas and then Taylor Swift. It makes no sense. That's just how freaking nuts our society is. But we'll leave it at that.
I saw people camping out for 5 months for Taylor Swift.
That's
concert.
Insane.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Well, how do they do that? 5 months?
I think I can name 3 songs.
Okay, that's what you do with AI. You camp out for
yeah, there you go. Have your robot butler sit in line for 5 months.
Well, you don't have to. You have no job.
Yeah. Jeez. Like, that's what we have to look forward to.
Here's our question for this week. Do you want your AI to do your work for you so you can sit outside for 5 months waiting for Taylor Swift
I think people
tickets?
like the idea, but then when it actually goes into practice, they'll realize how bored they are. And then they're going to be like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine
not doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end it there. The only things I have to promote. So I put out a full set of videos this week. We had the podcast last Monday. We had the Christmas Carol game, the Ebenezer Scrooge game that was offered to me on Wednesday, and then today I posted the finals with Jason and Grant, and then
was it any good, that Christmas one?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was only allowed to show certain parts, so I didn't get to do the whole thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So besides that, we're going to continue the Talos Principle tonight, and then that's pretty much it, guys. So I don't know who's going to be on next week. We'll figure it out. It might be you again. I don't know. But I know Kenny's supposed to be coming home soon. I don't know when. And Matinee is going to do the podcast. So
Matinee? Oh.
Yeah, Matinee has yet to do the podcast.
Really? He's got to sign the tablecloth.
Yeah, he hasn't signed it. So, or I could get my friend Sid to do it. But yeah, we'll figure it out. But either way, you guys have a good one. I will see you Monday, and maybe you'll see Mom next week. So, later.